Unbelievable. A star is born.
I think that comedy and satire have been always incredibly important. I mean, look at what Mel Brooks was doing. You know, he was making comedy out of one of the worst tragedies ever. The Holocaust, and it doesn't seem, and a lot of people were offended by that, but he has managed to reach people and point out the absurdity of the and I feel like we need to do that as well. We can't normalize what is going on in our world. I'm not crazy about watching myself. I actually, I feel more comfortable, being behind the camera. But I guess I'm kind of used to it by now.
In reality, this is something that
It's my first time. Yeah, no, I was so incredibly stoked. I mean, I knew when I went into the short film, I knew that NB had the idea for the feature, and as soon as I knew that there was more to this story than just like the 10 minutes in the short, I was so intrigued because I think that this topic has so much depth to it, and I think that NB's script does such a great job of tackling those issues, and so I was just so excited to get to dive right in.
I mean, obviously, it's not this kind of stuff. And Mark,
I think that comedy is often the most effective when it is sort of played straight in a way, and I think that MV's script is so inherently funny and the concept is just already so comical that we didn't really have to do much to make it work and to make audiences enjoy it. And so I think the balance was always just remaining true, remaining honest to the character and to the circumstances, and the heartbreak and the hilarity would just come from that.
social media is such a big part of
It's really hard. It gets more and more difficult every day, and I think that the more we get into it, because every day I'm like, oh, it can't get worse than this. This has to be the bottom, and it keeps getting lower and lower. It's like we're falling faster than we can lower our standards. That's really shocking, So, yeah, it's hard to keep optimistic about it all.
How did this project come about? I read the script.
This one is so meaningful because it really addresses a huge problem in our country, which is gun violence. No other country in the world has to face it like we do. We are the only ones in the whole world that have to do this, and it's really tragic.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because this is certainly it's a coming-of-age story, right? This young girl. But kids, I have two teenagers, and their coming-of-age story, well, certainly they have the same themes that we did, that, in my 80s sort of movies of like high school's the most important and love and loss and all that. But there's this other element that they've dealt with that my generation never did, which is growing up in the era of school shootings and growing up in the era of lockdown since pre-K when they didn't understand why they're doing that. And that's a horrible place to normalize, even if hopefully the most of those children will never be near a shooting.
And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but everybody had to stay. And
That is a spirit of managing pain. That is something that
One more time,
Well, the hard thing is to really speak my truth. It's very tough, very difficult. Sexuality, the beginning of the tour. I get tired when I think about all that. But I wanted to do this because I wanted it for the future generations, not for my generation so much, because they kind of lived through whatever I have. But no, it's for the kids. It's for the older generations. Our job is to help the younger generation and to encourage them, to inspire them to be the best they can be, whatever they decide, and to be happy, be okay. So that's what I want. And then this tells young people, it takes you through the different decades of my life, is taking you through the countries, what's happening, women's movement, all that. The kids need to know it, because the more you know about history, the more you know about yourself, but most importantly, it helps you shape the future, your own, and help others. So it's really, I hope it'll, if I just ignite one person who watches it, young or old, then it's accomplished. But I'm not done yet, so.
Story of going with the community before the sun.
I'm not happy. I don't like it when people don't support each other enough. I don't like violence. I like democracy and peace. But I'm always big on, if I'm going to do something, how can I make a difference? It's like I have the saying, what is winning? What is winning? People all yell and scream, and they get the messaging all weirded up. And I want simple messaging. I just think people, kindness is free, okay? This is not heavy thinking here, but yet it seems like we can't get there. And the pendulum goes back and forth a lot, but I'd like the pendulum just wants to kind of get in the middle. It's either one extreme to the other, but I think that's, I guess, human nature, but I don't like it. I think we get too involved with power, instead of being community. I want us to be community, the whole world. I don't care what color you are, I don't care what religion you are, I don't care. And always be kind and good.
There's a spirit inside Billie Jean King, which is a force of nature that created social change, that lifted all boats. She is the essence of what it means to be a good American. When we look at the life of Billie Jean King, we see the kinds of heroes and leaders that we need today. I think this film today, even more than when I started it, is the story that we need of this moment. Billie says when she was growing up, her parents never asked her if she won. They asked her if she had a good time. And Billie always wanted to be number one. So put those two things together. That's an interesting mix. But there's an essence in her that is indescribable. I think about Robert Redford and him founding this festival. He could have just been a movie star, big director. No, he chose to give back. Billie's whole life is about giving back.
What surprised me most, her optimism, her endless optimism. But, Billie, there's something that happens when you spend time with Billie, which is that you start to ask yourself in moments big and small, what would Billie do? And you realize that if you follow Billie's example, and she sets many examples, and we show them all in film, you start to realize that you are more present, you are braver, you are more connected with the world, and you feel your responsibility as a citizen in the world. And I think I've never met anyone who can do that to an individual, and I hope that this film does that for our viewers.
All of her behind the scenes and interviews, and see her in the process of higher change and the growth professionalized with her, and is like the best possible puzzle pieces to have, ladder telling.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you. delighted to be back. I'm delighted to be back for the last one in Park City. Very moving.
There was a moment once we were back home and Salman was more like Salman that, I asked him, are you ready to look at the footage? And he said he was. And so we set up a projector and the material and we kind of just spent time together going through different clips and moments and reliving it. And I think when we came to the end of that journey, we thought this is almost bigger than us. We have to share this. We have to go out with this. And so that's kind of where we began to think of it as something more than just a diary between us. Yeah,
that's after, because Eliza had not allowed me to see the footage because she thought it would be too disturbing. And actually it was right, because by the time I did watch it, I was feeling much better. And so that gave me a way of watching it without being too upset. But once we'd seen it together, then we initially approached Jason Richmond at UTA, and we talked about wanting to think about a documentary. And through Jason, we met Alex.
Yes.
And the moment we met him, we thought, this is the guy.
Yes.
Because it wasn't just that we admired his work. We've both seen a lot of his films. But just the way he talked about how he wanted to approach the subject. We thought, yeah, that's what we want. And so then it was a very easy relationship between the three of us.
Yes.
Before you hear it, I don't know if there's a most. I think that, there are moments I remember either in the audience or.
I've always thought that this kind of violent, ideologically driven behavior raises subjects which are more than just the fact that I got hurt. It raises the question of freedom and free expression and how we live in a civilized world and the breakdown of that civilization. And so I said to Eliza quite early on that I thought the subject was bigger than me. And it was really that spirit that made us want to offer it to the world.
I think he's worked through it, to be honest with you. And I think writing the book was part of him working through it. I think, first of all, he had to physically survive it. He had to recuperate physically. And then I think mentally and spiritually, he had to work through it. And his way of working through it as a writer was to write Knife. Sometimes you pick them, sometimes they pick you. In this case, this one picked me. I mean, Salman and Eliza reached out to me, and the very thought of doing something with Salman, and also with this footage that Eliza had taken, I couldn't turn it down. So that's really what led to this one. I think the important thing is to tell a story. That's what I would say. And a story has conflict, a story has drama. A story also has a point of view. But unless the characters are living and breathing as characters, even in a documentary, it's not going to be interesting as a film, in my view. So that's how you do it. You just dig in. And you start looking for moments of truth and string them together in a narratively compelling way.
I just felt came from a place of real truth, and I really trusted Beth to tell this really personal story. I think it really asks the question, how do our young people digest the violence around us in our world? How do any of us, for that matter? It was a really special film, and I'm really proud that we got it made, quite frankly. It is a psychological thriller that explores a family dynamic and quite a traumatic event, but through the eyes of a young girl. And hopefully it will provoke empathy and dialogue and crack people's hearts open a little bit.
I understand that you were a producer, and it was really important to back this film. Why was that important?
I just want to protect the boss here. I mean, that's kind of my job in a way. Is like I want to make sure first that we get enough money to tell the story properly, and then that no one gets in the way of her vision. And because look, it takes money and it takes an army to make these things. It's hard to make a movie, much less a really good movie, which I believe this one is. And I just protect her. That's as much as I can do as a producer. I came on pretty late. Gemma was on way earlier than I was, and I think probably was more of a I guess maybe a creative producer on it with you. But that's my job. I'm the big bad bully in the room, making sure that no one's messing with my girl.
Actually, maybe not.
How are you feeling about having to work on Sundance during the AFC and NFC championship game when I know you're a Rams fan?
Listen, it's definitely nerve-wracking. The first 2 playoff games, I had my specific clothes that I wear. I thought I was going back home tomorrow, but no, I got to be here. But I'm working. So go Rams. Seahawks, take an L for me. There's never been I went to USC, so I'm a Trojan always, but. There's never been a starting USC quarterback in the Super Bowl, and let's keep that streak alive. Yeah, man, Rams all day.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted. It's a fast sort of berserk road movie comedy. It's about a couple of guys on a journey that does not go according to plan, and everything falls apart, and all that sort of mayhem and chaos is kind of what people come to expect from movies like this.
I was so excited to do it. I went straight from one thing into this, and oh my gosh, it was so fun. I mean, every day, this was a small movie. Page count was high every day. We had a lot to do, and it was just so go, 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 but in the best way possible. And
so fun. So fun. This part was so fun. This cast was so fun. I got to be with one of my best buds, Dave.
Baby. Yeah,
I love this guy. We've been dying to work together.
We really have.
Many years.
But it was meant to be this one.
Yes, it was.
It really was.
Yes,
These
it was.
are. We both play shitheads, but these are roles that I feel like we were meant to play, and we brought extra shitheadedness out of each other.
Yes.
Go back to you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my favorite memory at Sundance is my first one, Ingrid Goes West, because Ingrid Goes West was the first time I went out, chose a movie, and it worked, So it was my first time stepping out on my career, and for it to go to Sundance was a beautiful thing. But I understand the historical significance of this place. I'm thankful that I have gotten to be a part of it 2 times. And I know the community is probably sad to see it go. They got to find something to replace it. I hope Boulder's ready, because you're getting a piece of history.
Well, this is my first Sundance, and I feel really lucky that I get to experience the Park City Sundance. I'm sure the new era is going to be amazing, but I know that this place is so iconic and means so much, so it's cool to be here.
Sundance, I was 22. It was just like a dream come true for me as a kid, and this is my 5th time, and I still am on the street, and I'm just like, man, like, this is just perfect. Like, it's a magical, the picture of looking up, Main Street, it's a beautiful, beautiful place and time, so I feel really lucky to be here on the last year. Yeah.
One of my favorite Sundance stories was when I was here for the movie Love Lies Bleeding. And in that film, this is a spoiler if you haven't seen Love Lies Bleeding, in that film, my character, my face gets smashed against the edge of a table, and my jaw becomes unhinged and starts dangling, and I couldn't stop laughing. We were in the Eccles with 1,000+ people, and I don't know if anyone else is laughing, but then in the movie they cut back to my jaw shot like 4 more times, and I just couldn't stop laughing, and it was a surreal experience to share that with 1,000 people.
Yeah, a lot of great memories, but I think my favorite was 2014. I came here with my buddy Jeremy's movie, which was called Blue Ruin, and I acted in that, and that was like our first movie that kind of made money and got sold, and it was like our first real movie, and my parents got to come to that one, and it was finally, after all these years of like, we're gonna work in movies, and they're like, okay, but then it gets into Sundance and you get to be like, see, like, we fucking did it, and it was very celebratory. So there's a lot of great memories. That's my favorite.
Kind of meta that this story is about selling art and you're at Sundance selling art. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I think that's what appealed to all of us making it, is that it's adjacent to what we do. We have this mix of art and commerce, and you have to, because, someone's got to pay people for their work. But of course, like, when is compromise too much in the name of commerce? Who determines what art is worth? What happens when something that comes from your soul becomes a commodity? And there are questions that are incredible to ask and explore.
I think it's such a fascinating parallel universe to the film world. But it's got its own rules, or some rules made to be broken, some big characters, some big personalities. So it was like a great excuse to dive deep into the subculture, as you said. And I think the art world, the contemporary art world, is really at the forefront of examining this question of, like, what is art, right? How do we define it? Can we even define it? Is it context? Is it the eye of the beholder? And how do we assign value to it? So those are just some questions that I've always been intrigued by, and I always wanted to make something in the art world.
Of course, we're at, unfortunately, a horrific moment in our country with the federal government attacking civilians in our own cities. And I'm so lucky to be here in a joyful, creative community celebrating a movie we're really proud of. But it's impossible to ignore what ICE is doing to our country, and I'm very inspired, though, by all of the amazing, amazing Americans who are coming out and supporting each other and being there in community. It's beautiful.
His 3 days of the Condor. I like him as a sort of.
I learned something and then ultimately nothing because I threw it all away. There's like few vocabulary words and things like that I remember, but I don't know what they mean. But I watched a lot of Sotheby's auctions for this one, so I know a lot about the selling of art, I guess, yeah.
I had so much fun engaging with this cast every day in such an active way. You know, they didn't just show up to work and go home. They'd go home, continue working, continue thinking, come back, engage in the writing process with all of us again, and it was like an intensive workshop camp.
I loved it. I thought it was really great, and I was really invited into the process of kind of shaping the character and helping to shape the scenes with Olivia, and I felt like we had an incredibly good collaboration and partnership, you know, and there's a lot of mutual respect, and we really, you know, work well together. So for me, it was like an incredibly creatively rewarding experience, and a really fun way to work. I mean, it was very small and intimate. You know, being able to kind of change the movie in little ways as you kind of absorb what it is that you're actually filming, you know what I mean? Because that can be different than how you imagined it and from what's on the page. And so being able to really incorporate that into the movie, like in real time, was really, for me, like exciting, yeah.
Full of
blockbusters and budgets and this and this. What spark does an indie film need, do you think, for you to be like, this is something I want to put my heart into?
There are some jobs that are the bill-paying jobs, and there are some that sort of fill your heart. And this is a heart job for me. And I think for many people, people who love film, often the ones they love the most have been ones that have been not the big blockbusters. And there's a place for every film, I think. But this is one that was, I would have done this for free. So.
Everybody does stories.
I think it's been a long, slow build for me. So I've learnt it hasn't. I imagine if you do too much when you're too young, it's terrifying. You don't feel like you've been able to learn as you go. But I've been lucky enough to. It's been long and slow for me, which is it's worked for me.
It's the words, the dialogue, and the unique dialogue informs everything else. And Eleanor and Alex have just set the map for me to come up with the walk and everything else, and the voice and all that. Yeah. But the voice is everything for me. I love voice stuff. I love dialects. So. That's part about being an actor and challenging yourself. Yeah.
Do you still feel like you're learning about your vocal abilities, things that you're able to do, places that you can take it that maybe you hadn't experimented with?
Yeah, maybe. I think there's a lot of like a lot of actors now do animation and audible books and all of that stuff, which that's the only thing you have is your voice. And it is a whole, reservoir in which you can play with just like a wig or anything else. So, yeah.
You mentioned the words on the page. When the words on the page are that good and it sucks you in from the get-go, does it make your job easier or harder? Easier in the sense of I've got this great script that I can rely on, or harder because you're now I have to live up to these amazing words?
All due respect to the writers, easier, because it's like why Shakespeare is the greatest. Everybody thinks it's so intimidating, but it's actually the easiest language to learn, to memorize, rather. And bad dialogue is next to impossible to memorize, and we're in the business of memorizing lines and making them real. So yes, it's all hats off to the writers who make it very easy to live in and learn and all of the above. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they just sent me the script and it was extraordinary. And Olivia was already attached, and so was Alex. And I was just desperate to make it. I'd actually been looking for a really long time for something I wanted to do, which is a super privileged place to be as an actor, and couldn't quite find it. I didn't really know what it was that I was really kind of chomping at the bit for. And then this script just came to me, and she's a really great role, but it's an incredible ensemble piece. And an amazing cast of people. The whole village is made out of amazing English actors and comedians who are just brilliant human beings. And I've worked with Olivia before, luckily enough for me, and we made The Night Manager, so I just wanted to work with her again. And the material is just so strong. And I think, I mean, if someone says, do you want to come and make this incredible fairy tale movie, Weta are doing the costume, Lol Crawley is shooting it, it was just a no-brainer for me, so, yeah. Honestly, in The Night Manager, we barely shot any scenes together. We just hung out with each other a lot in Spain, I remember she was really pregnant, and we used to go shopping in Morocco together and things like that. So I was so happy, actually, when I saw her. We were living in the same apartment building when we shot this movie, and the first night I got there, I went down to have dinner with her, and the lift door opened, and I was so happy to see her. And obviously, in the years since I've worked with her, I mean, she's done the most remarkable things. She won an Academy Award, So it was just lovely to work with her again, and we get a lot more together in this movie. So. But I was a baby when I did The Night Manager too, so I always looked up to her, and I still do. I'm much better at being able to take care of myself when I'm not working, which is kind of really, and by that I mean sort of like if I'm shooting something when I come home and like how I manage my time. I'm a lot kinder to myself about not stressing myself out too much. So, which is helpful because then your battery is a little more charged when you're working. So I probably learned to do that. That took me a long time to learn. And I actually learned it from people like Olivia, to be honest, who are really relaxed, happy actors. So, yeah.
That's great.
In the trailer, you refer to the brat phenomenon as kind of cringe. Is that actually how you felt during the time when it was all going on?
No, I didn't. But I think there's a lot of satire within this film, as you'll see when you watch it. I do think this idea of elongating a process, letting something drag on forever, can be considered to be cringe. And I think that's something that my character in the film, it's funny saying that, but is kind of grappling with, this idea of pushing something and making it last longer and longer, even though it feels a little bit like creatively stale. But all of the people around my character, which still sounds so pretentious, they want to make it last forever. And I think that is an interesting tension that everybody experiences when they make creative work. For me, it's all director-based. It's director-based, and it's when I read the screenplay, if I connect with it. But there are so many directors who I'm just such a fan of. For example, Greg being one of them. Like, when I heard he was sort of entertaining the idea of having me be a part of I Want Your Sex, that was just like so huge to me because I grew up watching his films. Doom Generation was like one of my favorite films of all time, still is, So for me, it's that like connective spirit with the filmmaker, the fact that they're not afraid to fully commit to their own vision, no matter the consequence. Like, that is very inspiring to me.
How would you describe the moment in your words?
I love this movie. I am always listening to what they're saying, and I try to really, I work in the moment. I do. I've always come from that, and instinct, and trusting what's happening and using whatever's going on. It's raining, but it's supposed to be really hot outside, but use the rain. And it's just, everything that happens is meant to be, and you can use it. And so, trusting the moment. And trusting this moment.
I was going to say,
the moment.
In the moment, how did they pitch this one to you? What was their game plan?
I got a beautiful letter from Charlie. She wrote me a letter, and she said, will you be in my movie? And I was like, yes.
You were like,
I told my daughter, she goes, oh my God, you got to do it, Mom.
Well, if you get an opportunity to play a narcissistic director opposite Charlie, you don't really have to read the script. It's an easy yes. The premise of the movie was so funny and delicious to me. It's I think Charlie's extraordinary. I think she's the tone, it's in her lyrics and her music, the kind of a self-deprecating. She's not afraid of showing her own vulnerability, her insecurity, and that comes across in the script as well, which she explores that side, the darker side of her own personality, and I thought that was really fun and a surprising way of telling making a mockumentary where it wasn't like it was very nuanced, and what wasn't nuanced was my character, but it was a lot of fun to play him.
This is your first feature, and you're at Sundance. How?
Right? No, honestly, how? It is bonkers. You know, I'm trying to think what month are we in right now. It's January. All right, so this time last year we just about finished our sort of first draft of the script, and I remember when we were writing the script, Bertie and I, we kind of found it easy to do because we sort of saw it just sort of as a writing exercise. We thought there's no way we'll be able to make a film this quickly, and you know, it'll happen. In many ways that was helpful because it sort of took the edge off of it, took the pressure off. But you know, I feel so lucky. Not only that I got to make my first film with my best friends, but also that, you know, we get to premiere here at Sundance. Last year in Park City, it feels kind of appropriate because our film was sort of about the end of an era. So it feels very special that we get to be here for last year in Park City. But no, I feel extremely fortunate, not just for how incredible the experience was, but the fact that we get to put it out and that we have so many people that are going to be able to see it and hopefully enjoy it as much as we do.
I mean, I think my dad's legacy was that he created a nest and not an empire. And that was meant to support and nurture and nourish artists in the ways that they need to be, telling the stories that they need to tell. And so that is really the legacy. He made sure that the outsiders are not coming in over the top and changing people's stories because it's going to fit a mold. It was really about giving them the wings so that the stories that they really need to tell would be out in the world. And once they're out in the world, what happens? Suddenly there's a mom across the world that I never thought I would have anything in common with. And I'm like, she's me. I'm her. That's only by virtue of storytelling. So that legacy is the thing that I think will carry on forever.
Well, I got fully decked out for Mr. Redford tonight. I got a suit made just for tonight. Electric Horseman was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Jane Fonda, Redford, Willie Nelson. That's one of my favorites, and so I really wanted to have lights and everything too, but it was too hard to get it organized in time. But you know, it's easy to talk about Robert Redford, and it feels like a great moment to be together as a community to figure out how we can pick up the weight that he was carrying. He was a great leader and a wonderful artist. He was kind to me as he was to so many people. The show I'm doing right now, The Lowdown, wouldn't exist without Redford. You know, Sterling Harjo came up through the Sundance Institute. So many filmmakers, I mean, so many people are going to say the same thing tonight about the powerful impact of giving and stewardship that Redford, and not just Redford, the team, all the people that worked here at Sundance. And so it's going to be up to all of us to carry it forward.
For so many reasons, even were I not on the board, I would want to be here and be in this room. I owe so much to Sundance, not just to the festival, but to the Institute. So many of the films that have been most foundational, not just to my career and its trajectory, but just as a human, have been films that I've brought here or have been films that were cultivated here. We're also honoring Nia DaCosta tonight, and I have the great pleasure of doing that. And she's a great friend who I met at the Sundance Labs. And, you know, really what the Labs has done has really cultivated a whole generation of filmmakers. I mean, and so many of them that are dear friends of mine and have been collaborators, like Ryan Coogler, you know, who just made Oscars history. You know, he came up through these labs and with the work of Robert Redford and Michelle Satter. So I think their presence in the industry and what they've done to just revolutionize the way that stories can be told and who for and how it cannot be overstated. And obviously this is our last year here, so there'll be some, you know, changes that are afoot. So I've just felt this amazing sense of gratitude at having had these mountains be a part of my life over the last decade and to the work that they do.
Well, he is one of the reasons I wanted to become an actor. I grew up watching his movies. I think Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was the first movie I remember seeing in the theaters. And of course, his filmography, for me, might be the best filmography of any actor ever.
We've interviewed her at this event before.
Great thing about
I think singularity. I think it has to be really original. I think you know when you read something and you feel the freshness of it. And I read the script and I just knew that it was something that scratched an itch that needed to be scratched, that it felt very timely and just sharp. And I thought, you know, in order to cut through the sort of fabric today of everything in media, you have to be very sharp. You have to be specific and sharp. And the specificity of it, the singularity of Carly's voice mixed with Greg's voice was so interesting to me. So I had a really good feeling about it just from material. And then talking to Greg about his vision and his unique way of approaching production, which is truly independently minded, was even more exciting. I knew we were doing something special. Oh, it's just a blessing. It's so great. I was saying, because I'm acting in a Tony Gilroy movie right now, Behemoth, and Tony is one of the best screenwriters ever. And it's a similar situation where you're like, all I have to do is live up to these words. All I have to do is embody these words and this voice that's so clear. And what a thrill. And it's the same thing with Greg. It was so nice to feel like, you know, as a director coming over and acting for another director, it's so fun because I can just relax and just kind of surrender. And directors never get to see each other work. So it was so cool just to be able to kind of show up and be like, whoo, it's your rodeo, I'm just here.
Is it easy to turn the director mindset off?
It's not easy, but it's a really helpful exercise, I think, to feel like, okay, really giving in to, you know, everything being different than maybe you would have initially thought, and then that teaches you so much. And you're reminded of how many different ways there are to make a film.
You know what? Not a lot of rehearsals, but the rehearsals that we did have were 2 days with our intimacy coordinator, Yehuda, and it was basically to prep all of the kind of sexual acts that needed to happen. You can't do it without them, truly, and Yehuda is like the man, and like I don't know, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I did without him being there. And without having Greg and Olivia obviously be as cool as they were too.
Boosted your confidence.
Yeah.
This guy knows his angles out.
To get a nourishing artistic meal. And that's something I.
You know, you can go to acting school or acting class and learn. No one can teach you what it's like to show up on a set on the first day and who's the guy running over who's saying where to park, and then why is that guy telling me to go over here, and so all of the intricacies of a day on set, which all what that requires is being on set. And I grew up in the business, I'd been around sets all my life, and yet I still really had no understanding of that. And I think for me, it's, you know, you only have a certain amount of psychic bandwidth during a day, and I tend to be sort of an introvert, so I tend to have to, you know, I like to sort of cubby off and go back to my nest to like rebuild my energy so I can go back. A lot of people on set like to be like out and about and talking to everybody, and it sort of depends on your demeanor, and but that was something that took a long time, but anyway.
53%, over half, right? So when you think of a number like that.
It's another really good question. I think I would say again, I can only speak for me. The prescription for me is I have to be as comfortable on set as humanly possible. By comfort, it doesn't mean like how comfortable the chair is. It's like the dynamic of the set has to be one of supporting creativity. So if there's a bad egg in there who I can sense is like the bully or working out some family shit, I usually avoid or figure out a way to siphon myself off, like I said. But for the other part of your question, I think, yeah, I think there's a definite, as anybody says, you've heard it before, it's like, yeah, the thing scared me. I felt like I had to do it. I think there's like deep truth to that, for sure.
There's multiple names that come up on different things. So I was last year in Sundance 3 years ago.
Was ice snapping? Yeah, we're used to that. Did you have to like?
There is certainly, at least I feel like a certain crackle between myself and another performer. I know, for example, like I felt that with Michelle Williams on Dying for Sex, and I felt it with Chris on this film. And a lot of it is just about being able to, take it or leave it, but like pass an energy safely between yourselves, and to have comfort in a charged situation, to care for each other without having that be cumbersome or like overly thought about. And you know, there's a scene in the movie where our characters have a really upsetting argument, and in between takes, that was the day that Chris and I were goofing around the most. We were going from anger and crying to making the dumbest jokes, and I think that is what on-set chemistry can really feel like. It's that you could be anyone with that other person. Yeah. Those are only two of the very many. I love acting. I love it. Like every time I start another take, I'm very aware I have a new chance to do it. It's like if you like swimming, you like going off the diving board, it's just like I get to do another cannonball. And there is, eventually I think sometimes you wear yourself out, but that also is a wonderful feeling. I think if the writing is good, you find something new every time. I think good writing makes every actor's job easier because you don't have to lie and try to make something that you don't believe in seem like it is animated and alive when you feel that it's sort of like in its own weird writing purgatory, I guess, to extend that metaphor into nothing, I don't know. But I do feel like there certainly is a good amount of, it's not pressure, but it's an awareness of being entrusted with something very valuable, and that's a sign of success. So I like that.